Is this the end of the two-party system as we know it?
I think it could be the start of a bigger change. Certainly we're seeing volatility and a fracturing of our politics.
It is a straight fight between Labour and Reform.
The Green Party have won the Gorton and Denton by-election, their first ever Westminster by-election victory.
OK, bear with me, because this is a lot.
This Manchester constituency has had a Labour MP for almost 100 years. Until now. The Green Party's Gorton and Denton win is historic. The first Westminster by-election won by the party ever. Labour, who haven't lost an election there since 1931, came third.
It's a very disappointing result.
And the Conservatives got their worst ever by-election result, even losing the deposit you have to put down to put forward a candidate. A by-election is held when a seat becomes vacant between general elections. In this case, it's because the previous politician, Andrew Gwynn, resigned. He was suspended from the Labour Party for offensive WhatsApp messages a year ago. And although it's local, people take notice of by-election results nationally, because it could give a hint on which parties could do well in future general elections. And it's extremely rare that Labour and the Conservatives don't hold the two top spots. I'm here with Joe Pike, BBC political correspondent, to find out if this is the end of the two-party system.
Would this have been the same scenario if Andy Burnham had been the candidate?
The Greens can only do this in a couple of dozen seats across the country. We can do this everywhere.
You've seen a Green surge. Well, now wait, because a Green tidal wave is coming.
So, Joe, what picture does this paint for the next general election, or is it just a one-off?
It could be a one-off, Janelle. Governing parties usually quite often do badly in these by-elections, these one-off contests. Certainly last May, Labour lost to Reform UK, another insurgent party, in a different by-election in Runcorn and Helsby on the outskirts of Merseyside and Liverpool. Though there are some by-elections which are turning points, which give us a new understanding of the shifting political landscape. And I think the Greens certainly today will be hoping that this by-election in Gorton and Denton is one of them, and it's the start of a new bit of politics for them. What
did the polling say? Is this unexpected?
There were a few opinion polls in Gorton and Denton, but with a very small number of people, very small sample, as we'd say. So it was actually quite hard to work out what would happen. That said, we always thought right from the start it would be the Green Party versus Reform UK, Nigel Farage's party, and Labour. But this has been a Labour seat for a very long time. They got more than 50% of the vote last time. It is a Labour seat up until now, in a Labour city, in a Labour region. And what's happened is very significant. The Greens have a stonking victory, and it wasn't even close. They won it decisively, and it's bad for Labour, really bad for Labour.
So when we say things like Labour heartlands or Labour regions, does that count anymore? So is this the end of the two-party system as we know it?
I think it could be the start of a bigger change. Certainly we're seeing volatility and a fracturing of our politics. We've had with the Greens, and more significantly I think with Reform UK over the last year or so, two different party leaders who are very good on social media. Zach Polanski for the Greens, Nigel Farage for Reform UK, good on TikTok, good with vertical video, and certainly what we have had for 100 years, Labour and the Conservatives flip-flopping between who's in charge of the country, that might end. What we could also see is just a sort of a fracturing, a more of a multi-party setup with, yes, Labour, yes, the Conservatives, but seemingly a very strong Reform presence. They're leading the opinion polls at the moment. The Greens, the Lib Dems, certainly in Wales, you've got Plaid Cymru who are doing well, and the SNP very strong in Scotland. So this is not necessarily the end of Labour and the Conservatives, but it may be the start of a fracturing, which is of a big advantage now to smaller parties.
So has Prime Minister Keir Starmer misjudged who his competition truly is?
That's a really good question, because if you look at the opinion polls since last April, Reform UK have been top in the polls, and if there was an election held tomorrow, Nigel Farage might be the next Prime Minister. And therefore the way that Keir Starmer has been acting has been trying to tackle that big threat. That's why he's tackled the issue of immigration a lot. That's something that he has certainly been want to see as being sort of tough on, trying to stop small boats and get the numbers of people arriving in this country down. But there are also lots of people in his own party who say, why are you focusing on trying to be like Nigel Farage, out-reform reform, where actually you should be focusing on what are Labour issues, what working people want, funding public services and tackling the cost of living. So certainly within the Labour Party, there is now a push amongst a lot of MPs for him to move to the left to more core Labour issues, which also may help tackle the rise of the Green Party.
We're seeing a lot of people ask whether the next general election will be a contest between Reform and the Greens. What do you think about this?
I think it's too early to say. The next general election is maybe 3 years off, and even though Reform and the Greens are likely to be far bigger contenders in the election, could get far more MPs, what we will more likely see across the country is 650 different campaigns, different areas, different places, with quite different dynamics at play. I don't think there's much sign of a sort of wipeout of many parties, but I think the dynamics will change. Certainly Reform look pretty dominant and the Greens are on the rise. Though at the moment, even though the Greens did well in this part of South Manchester, it doesn't look like they are yet in second place nationally. That said, some people in that party argue this is their breakthrough moment, and in the coming weeks and months maybe we could see them build support and build evidence they are a bigger electoral threat, in particular to the Labour Party.